intensified, enhanced, amplified. This might be the greatest, but wait, there's more moment in Nissan's history. See, the Z is already a very much of a capable machine, but that's on a whole other level. See, the Nissan Z is already a force to be reckoned with. It's fast, it's sharp, it's definitely a head turner. But now, with the addition of the Nismo, it brings the Z to top out at 4,708,000 Philippine pesos. That is a staggering 720,000 Philippine pesos more than the premium manual or the automatic. Those are the price differences. Now let's get into Z differences between the two. The overarching theme when talking about the changes to the Nismo Z is performance first, with beauty as the byproduct of Nismo's efforts to hone the Z into the precision machine we have now. It doesn't only look faster, it is faster. The G nose or grand nose extends further forward than the standard Z. It pays homage to the 1970 Nissan 240ZG. Nismo was so keen on perfection that they even shaved down the grille to reduce drag and improve engine cooling. On its side, there are canards on the wheel arcs to create vortexes, side skirts to further reduce drag and aerodynamic lift. The rear is home to a three-piece spoiler that's taller and wider, allowing the Z to achieve higher top speeds without losing stability. The rear bumper is also re-engineered to reduce drag, and all of that results in a positive downforce for the car, allowing it to hug the road and cut through the air with ease. I'll tell you this though, the Z was already a masterclass at blending form and function while paying respect to Nissan's heritage. But the fact that they took the already gorgeous Z and retooled it to turn it into a weapon? That's a tremendous feat, man. But it doesn't stop with just the body kit. The Z's already impressive footwork gets even better thanks to 19-inch forged alloy wheels from Ray's Engineering. Not only do these wheels look fantastic finished in gloss black, they're also lighter and wider by half an inch for both the front and the rear. Tires up front are the same in the sense that they're 255/40s, but the Nismo gets 285/35s at the rear. And even with all the upgrades, the Z Nismo sits only 1 millimeter lower than before with 125 millimeters of ground clearance. Inside the wheel and tire combo sits a bigger set of front brake rotors. While the front calipers are also 4-piston Akebono units, they're bigger. The brake rotor also is a full inch bigger than the standard. And I ain't even done yet, because at its heart is a, well, same but different VR30 DDTT, which is a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 that now makes 414 horses and 520 Newton-meters of torque mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, I know what you're thinking. 36 horses and 45 Newton-meters of torque? That's it? Hang on. Give me a chance. It's not all about peak horsepower with this engine. Remember that this is the VR30 DDTT, and it loves to rev, and by doing so, it's progressively feeding boost into the engine as it's going through the power band. So essentially, at every point in its rev range, this is producing more horsepower and delivering more torque than your standard Z, if you'd even call it standard. And in case you're wondering, it does about 13.5 kilometers per liter on the highway. Inside very heavy city traffic, you're doing 4 to 5 kilometers per liter, and the mixed conditions of the city and the highway will deliver about 8 to 9 kilometers per liter, which is not so bad for two things. One, it's basically the same as your standard Z, and for a sports car of this level, that's actually pretty good. The Nismo treatment continues on the inside. More supportive than the standard power seats in the regular Z, these Recaros do away with the comfort and convenience of power in favor of dedicated ergonomics, support, and lightness. With the heightened cornering ability of the Z, these things are non-negotiable pieces of equipment. Alcantara lines the sides of the steering wheel, here too at the 10 and 2 position, and then there's a nice red tone right here, dead center of the steering wheel. I like that. But we have some reservations. As purpose-driven as this car is, we still have our nitpicks. For starters, the infotainment system is the same. As we said in our previous review, it's not the best, and Nissan actually has a better unit in other markets, so I was kinda hoping they'd give us the bigger 9-inch unit that has wireless smartphone pairing. But still, all our bases are covered. You get wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the screen also doubles as your reverse camera. Premium audio still persists, as you still get the 8-speaker Bose sound system. Now, while that sounds absolutely great, the first thing that I would do for this car is slap on an aftermarket exhaust, because it's like dead quiet. It's like I'm in church. So quiet. Anyway, let's go out for a drive right now to see what it's like. But before we do, please consider subscribing to our channel, because we create all of these videos so that Earl can atone for his sins. The millisecond you get inside this car, you feel the chassis. Nismo has tuned the suspension of this car to be stiffer, and you don't really achieve that just by turning a knob. Oh no, no. Everything from the spring to the damper, yeah, that has been revised so that this corners flat. And because of that, there's no waiting for the chassis to settle. This thing is like a rocket ship out of corners, and it holds that line extremely well. And just when you think it couldn't give you more, oh man, it just keeps turning and turning and turning. And then, oversteer. But as we found out through our extensive testing, that if, let's say, for example, there's a little bit of dust on the road, or you get into a corner a little bit early, the traction control has been upgraded and responds ever so quicker because it can save you that much faster. But on a comparative note, this and the Z absolutely love sweeping corners and straights. They're very, very fast. The Achilles heel, however, of the Z is tight and technical corners. That's where it kind of flubs up. This in the Nismo, boom, and you're done. And when you do make that turn, oh my goodness, from the seats, the wheels, the heavy steering, the rev-happy engine, all of it just makes total and absolute sense. This thing really is a weapon. Woo! And when you do finally get it out on a straight, make sure you have a little fun by putting it into Sports Plus, yet another Nismo exclusive, and that's where you'll really be able to feel the warmth and the breath of the transmission. See, what Nismo has done is upgraded the clutch pack, which means that it's fixed the transmission changes by half a second, which means, whoa, this thing feels like a shotgun. And like that, we're at 100 already. I gotta slow down. Aww. And even at higher RPMs, the engine just feels like it wants to keep going and going and going, and like it's never gonna run out of breath. And then, obviously, when you start getting along just normally, so to speak, it's actually pretty good. I mean, you've got adaptive cruise, noise isolation is pretty good, and the powertrain is actually pretty smooth. However, and this has to be said, in the real world, where our roads are not so perfect, you will be subject to the consequences of Nissan's pursuit of performance, because it is a bit on the taxing side. Which brings me to say that the world would be better if you could get two Zs. One for the drive there, and the other for the ride home. I'd also like to add that perhaps maybe for an old fogey like me, yeah, maybe just the Z. Just the Z. If you can even just say just.
Nismo for me.
Yes, Nismo for you, for Earl, Z for me. This has got to be one of the most well thought out cohesive, and exciting cars we've ever reviewed on Behind the Wheel. I mean, it's almost perfect. Almost. The infotainment, okay, so we'll give it a pass. Stiffer suspension, well, granted, but seriously, no performance exhaust? You were almost there. You were this close, Nissan. Andyan ka na. In all seriousness though, we drove over 1,000 kilometers inside this car to arrive at this point. And I'll only use one word really to describe this car. Spectacular. Woo!